Where are the rest of us? I have to ask that question. I'm not accusing you, my loyal listeners, of being slacktivists, because you're the ones I see whenever I go show up for something. You're the ones who are dedicated to putting your body on the line, and as Splitting the Sky will tell us, that can be a very dangerous proposition. Cindy Sheehan, a great friend of the show and somebody who has really come around, I'm really very proud of her, has been arrested umpteen times. Martin Luther King told us, we need to go out and get arrested. This is the focal point of civil disobedience. And that you can do that nonviolently. Now, some of you out there are saying, I don't want to get arrested. I don't want that. I don't want to be on some red and blue list. I don't want to be the first to be sent to a FEMA camp. I don't want to get beat like Splitting the Sky, or as yours truly was in my arrest there about 2 years ago. No, I'm going to keep my head down, hold the sign, stand at the back of the crowd, get the hell out of there when things turn ugly. But we really need to have that level of civil disobedience. Again, when I look at Splitting the Sky getting arrested, and there were people who were, in a way getting his back, but, if the whole crowd had moved to do the exact same thing, what would have happened? Would it have been a full-scale riot? Would people have been shot and killed? How would that have played out? Would it have been another Kent State? Because we look at Kent State, and the people that had been sacrificed at Kent State stood for something. There were songs written about it. It changed the tide of the anti-war, anti-Vietnam movement back in the 60s and 70s. So it did accomplish something, and of course I don't have to give you the history of the Mahatma, of Gandhi, and what they managed to allegedly, at least in the Matrix, accomplish to the British. Now, of course, they are moving to be a global superpower. Well, I'm not sure Gandhi would be too happy with the latest developments of India, but then again, I have no way of reading his mind since he's been gone for quite some time, killed by an assassin. That's what they do to our good men and women. They shoot them down like dogs. And the more that they can grab a hold of the public consciousness, the more that they can create real change and not artificial matrix change promised by some messiah, the more dangerous they become to the establishment. The establishment that will do anything to hold on to that power, and not for money, and not for glory, and not for sex or drugs or rock and roll, but ultimately to condition the masses, to consolidate and centralize everything to make it easy then on out for their ancestors to control and rape and pillage and loot every nation in this society, in this world. So we need people like Splitting the Sky, who I hope will be joining us here very soon. Daniel?
There.
We did get him. Okay. Do we have a better connection now, sir? Can you hear us a little better?
No, Jack.
Yeah, can you hear us better now?
I can hear you better, yes.
Awesome. Hey, I've just been, talking about the importance of civil disobedience and how more of us need to stand up as you did when you were arrested protesting George Bush, trying to arrest George Bush. And why is it that you think that people seem to be afraid to do what you've done your whole life?
Well, geez, that's, it really is the question, it is a good question, Jack, in the sense that most people, for the most part, most people haven't been through what I've been through in life. I'm a survivor. I'm the only person that was convicted for being a ringleader at the age of 19 at the 1971 Attica Rebellion, known as Sacagawea, Splitting the Sky, John Hill, also known as John Browncourt. I was involved in a 1995 standoff here at Gustafson Lake in 78 days with the government of Canada that trying to continue to steal unsurrendered or unceded Indian land. I did quite a few years in prison, and of the years that I did during my initial trial, Bill Kunstler was my attorney during that trial. The civil rights attorney, and then later Ramsey Clark, the former U.S. Attorney General, is my appeals lawyer. And Ramsey and I have been friends for quite a few years since then. But I think he would almost, I lived in the belly of the beast for so long, and I fought for prisoners' rights as well as humans' rights for so long, and had taken a lot of lumps, a lot of beatings, and attempted assassinations on me. So in a sense, my initial fears, I had to test myself and to stand on what I believe was what was right and what was principally correct, and to face the fears. And so in doing so, then we're even going further back. Then I mean, in the 50s, I was abducted by a policy of total assimilation. I'm originally from New York, and I was abducted from my mother when I was 7 years old, along with my sisters, and thrown into a boarding school type situation, which is like residentials, and then into foster homes, and I went through a lot of abuse, attacks, and beatings, and attempted sexual attacks and things. And so all those years that I fought against the abuse of power as I got older and stronger, but predominantly the time that I did when I was in prison, I came up around that area that I just heard you talking about, the anti-war movement, the anti-Vietnam, the protests against Vietnam, Kent State. Kent State was after Attica, and there was 43 people during Attica that were murdered by the New York State Police. Now, there was the Panther parties, there was the BLAs, there was Muslims, there was the Puerto Rican Young Lords, there was the women's movement, there was all kind of social resistance coming up when you and I were coming up. And so during this time, it was a time for change and a time for development. But when I was in prison, there were a lot of people that were socially conscious, and as a result, that many people, studied the system inside out, and we just realized where we were all being basically victimized and ripped off by a vicious economic system that didn't have our interests at hand. And as a matter of fact, the only ones that benefited from the systems itself was the big Wall Street bankers and lawyers and all of their cohorts of minions. So looking at that, when you make a decision to do something like, I got my wake-up call at 19 years old when Governor Rockefeller sent in 1,000 New York State troopers on September 13th, 1971, and the state troopers flew a helicopter over the prison and dropped CEN4 gas, which is totally banned by the Geneva Conventions as cruel and unusual form of chemical gas.
Splitting the Sky, we're going to break.
Employed in warfare.
We're going to break here. I want you to continue with that when you come back. Very interesting stuff. Literally fought a Rockefeller in his army in Attica. Splitting the Sky, RDS. SplittingTheSky.net. Stay tuned. Deadline Live.